Hey, Dad, we're live.
Good evening, folks. So we got a handful of folks in here already. So there's only four waiting. I think there's like six in here. So welcome to, I think this is the first time we've ever had Black's Tropical Homestead in here. So if it is not, I apologize, but I think it is. So welcome. Paula Wells, moderator extraordinaire.
Hello, Paula. Hello, Paula.
So Paula is in here. Who else we got? Land's Promised Land Ranch. So they are going to be our guest tonight. And there's Nisi from Free Handly Made. Nisi says, I'm having issues with my laptop tonight. Doesn't want to keep internet connection. Do your best, Nisi. I appreciate it, as always. Michael Harris, my brother from another mother over in the great state of Texas. So you will appreciate tonight's guest, Michael. I think you guys are in the same neck of the woods over in northeast Texas. Down under fella. How are you, Brad? James and Angela, Petways 3 Creek Farms. Welcome, welcome. Adventures on the Homestead, here to support our peeps. Well, we really appreciate you being here to support your peeps. Tina Ladybug, how are you? Trying to get Tina Ladybug to come on and be a guest, but got to talk her into it. Got to get her over her fear of alive. Nunya, Texas. So if you guys are not following Nunya, Texas on the back 20, go over there and check out Jake's recent video on the differences between actual prepping and YouTube prepping. you will laugh, you will contemplate, and you will say, wow, there's a lot of truth in that statement. So I'm going to start calling Jake the Prepper Prophet. That's going to be my new title for him, because he kind of says it as it is, and it is very much appreciated. Who else? Brenda Baker, welcome. So we got what, 12 people in here. Usually we get like 720 or so. We start having some other folks rolling in. So we're gonna have, as the thumbnail said, we got a channel that is, I've been to their channel several times over the last couple of weeks. They're relatively new to me, but I'm glad we found them, and look forward to kind of following along with them. What?
He has a really, really, really nice beard.
Oh, you're gonna be able to personally admire his beard. So Eric's already in the green room. You're gonna see that's the one weird aspect of my son, that he loves complimenting men on their beards.
Hey, I guarantee you, he knows exactly what I'm talking about. It's not just me.
If he could have a beard where he works, he would.
Oh man. I tell you what, I just got off that 1 month, and I grew it as long as I possibly could. And as soon as I got back, it went chopped right off.
He's giving us a thumbs up. He's giving us a thumbs up off screen.
Appreciated it much.
So this has been an absolutely, I'm sorry, apologize for missing last week's. We got lots of emails, lots of texts. You guys aren't going live, and I said, there is just no way that I can do it tonight. I live and die by deadlines in my bill paying work, and that's evening. This from Jules Small Gardening. So I think Jules just ended his live. Jules, I appreciate you sending your folks over here, man, very, very much. Jules says, LaLa Farm, got you rolling. Need a 5-minute break. Thanks for coming over to live. Man, it is much, much appreciated, and you are so welcome. I always love. I even get Jules on here on one of our lives. Jules is pretty phenomenal gardener, and to kind of see what he does in a relatively small space, pretty darn incredible. So last week, I live and die by deadlines, and I had deadlines that absolutely could not bend, and had no option but to cancel the live. Rick was kind of in the last lap of his vacation and had some things going on, so we really had no options. But we are back. Doesn't mean that we've been any less busy around here. It has been absolutely insane. We've kind of put some videos up over the last couple of weeks of what we've been up to. Gulf Coast Homesteaders Meetup. I don't think that anyone in here was able to get over to that I've seen yet. But it's going to be a thing next year. It was hosted by 2 Florida channels, both from the Panhandle of Florida, the Hidden Hooks Homestead and the Dusty Goat Homestead. I told them we could help out if they need help, but they did a fantastic job. I think they had around 600 people there, plus vendors, plus food trucks, and the venue where they did it was absolutely phenomenal. So LaLa and I took the camper over for the weekend, hauled out on Friday, set up camper, visited Michael Keener over the other side of Tallahassee on our way west, and then visited his farm. Between Michael Keener and LaLa, they started doing some wheel and dealing on goats and cows and hay and whatever. So that's between them. And then got over to Tallahassee, visited with Dusty Goat Homestead on Saturday, spent the whole day with their family, had an absolute blast, and then had scallops on the beach. And it was a really, really great day. Had a good time. Sunday was the meetup, and then we headed back home on Monday. So it's about a 4-hour drive, 4.5-hour drive, only 3.5 with time change going the other direction. So we got some newer folks in here. So this is awesome. Folks that I'm not as familiar with. Tiny Tim Posey, welcome. I think Tim's been in here a few times. Already shouted out Petways, Nunya, Texas, Idaho, Garden Girl. That's on my bucket list, is to get out to Idaho. Never been out there, and I hear that it is an absolute outdoor paradise. So one day I will get out there. My goal is to take my camper cross country. My daughter lives up in what she calls what would that be? The PNW, the Pacific Northwest, which I think is really just stupid. Why don't they call I guess Jacksonville, Florida would be like the Atlantic Southeast, so the ASE. I don't know. That's how they refer to it. I think it'd be kind of cool. Camp our way out there. Got Nisi in here. F&P Farms. I think they've been in here a couple of times, or in the remote past. Got Jules Small Space Gardening. So awesome. So awesome. Also this week we had got our pigs. That video, we've spent some time putting out videos this week with the pigs. And here's what we knew we were getting pigs, but we've got kind of some phenomenal mentors with pigs, not only within the channel, folks that raise pigs, know pigs, Petway Three Creek Farm. I'm just going to refer to it as that because that's where they're going with their name. Raise, sell, breed pigs, and Turner Swine Genetics, which is their shirt that I'm wearing tonight. Pretty cool back too. That's the back out. So I like it.
Don't show us your butt.
Did you see the back?
I didn't. I saw the back of the shirt. You did a really good job not showing your butt.
Why don't you want to see? I mean, I'm not asking why you want to see my butt, but why?
Yeah, you did. You just asked me why I wanted to see your butt.
Why can't you see my butt? Do I got something on?
You don't have a butt, and two, nobody wants to see it.
Yeah, I got a fat butt. I'm down on the foul. Thank you, Brad. It is an awesome shirt. I don't know what my son's deal is. He's focusing on butt. Why don't you show us your butt, Rick?
I can't because I'm wearing.
No, you can.
I'm wearing my Batman pajamas.
But you're chicken.
The Batman pajamas.
He's wearing his Batman pajamas on our live. So, all right. So, and then the pigs. We've got some great guidance on these pigs so far, and some things that I really never knew. I did not know that pigs will pick a place and do all their business. They'll poop, they'll pee in one place. And we were told that, and I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm sure that'll happen. Well, sure enough, we went out there after day one and started cleaning up, and it's about maybe a 12-foot square spot, and that's the only place where they do the business, and the rest of it is really clean. And they don't poop where they eat. So from that angle, we scoop it up, and that's a job that little Rick, the littlest of the Ricks, is getting, Rick Isaac, and it was pretty awesome. Last night we kind of put him on that task. LaLa's written it down line by line by line, so he can go out there and you know, we've shared some background with Rick Isaac in the past, and you know, focusing on things for a long time is a big challenge for him. So these pigs are really going to be a great learning experience for him, to kind of get a grasp on that. And if it all works out the way we're hoping, then he's going to be showing swine next year at the fair. Or at least that's the long-term goal. My Alabama Farm Life, welcome. Steve from the garden, welcome. Appreciate you stopping in. And as we've been working on for, seems like 6 months, but it's actually only been about 5 weeks. The small barn, we've got that to the point now where I started actually putting tin on the roof last weekend. So that's coming together really nice. I should have the tin finished this weekend, or at least that's my hope. And if that's the case, then I can start running water and hopefully have our Nigerian dwarf bucks moved up front, have the pigs moved up front, and then start doing the rest of the fencing that will be that front pasture. So in that front pasture will be our Nigerian dwarf bucks, which is 3 or 4 now, two cows, and we've sourced those already. Looks like we'll be getting those Jersey cows from Michael Keener's place over the other side of Tallahassee, and then 2 pigs. So that'll be the rotation annually. We just gonna be coming out with a video probably hopefully in the next week, with respect to processing of this year's cull goats. Kind of what we started with, hanging weight down to the processing weight, and kind of what we actually ended up putting in the freezer. And so that should be an interesting video. Hey, we got a young man in here by the name of Isaac Fowler. I know I saw his name, Isaac Fowler Farm. But met Isaac over there at that Gulf Coast get together, and Isaac is a homesteader in that area, and does some will it start videos and general farming videos. Very small channel, but great young man. He was actually introduced in our Gulf Coast video that we put together. So Isaac, I appreciate you stopping by, sir. And there she is, the queen of the Pacific Northwest, or at least in my eyes, she's the queen, the crafty hobbit. She is T-1 day from her third, as her husband calls it, her third 29th birthday. So happy belated birthday to my daughter, the crafty hobbit. Anything, Rick?
Nope. I'm just sharing the live out on Facebook right now.
So Jules says, ha ha ha, love your channel name at the Crafty Hobbit. Jules, she is one of the craftiest people that I have ever met. She has done in the past Etsy, and just really, really brilliant with her craft ideas. And so really, really, really good. So it's about 1/4 I've kind of run out of just general topics to let you know what we've kind of been up to. So I think we're going to bring in, so tonight, I think I kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier. We're reaching out to channels, we're reaching out to folks, kind of getting back at it with respect to doing this kind of meeting channels. Those that have been with us for a while know that we started off doing channel introductions probably 3-4 months after we started this channel 2 years ago, and did them for the better part of 6 or 9 months. And then we kind of changed it up see if we just did like a general format, and weren't happy with that. And we had a lot more fun, frankly, when we were chatting with other channels. And so that's the direction that we're going again. So I've reached out to several folks on here already to see if they'd like to come on and kind of just have a chat, get to know you a little bit better, talk about what your goals are, what your motives are, and go from there. So if you are interested, send us an email. Email's in the About tab on our channel. Gil, how are you, sir? Haven't been able to visit you as much as I love to, man. But my week nights are pretty jam packed. So Gil from Camp Patton Family Compound, appreciate you stopping by, brother. I think Gil's out in Idaho. I was telling them, Gil, that's kind of on my bucket list to get out to Idaho. I got a good friend who lives in Boise and just constantly is telling me how beautiful it is out there. And one day I'll get out there. All right. So when we were contacted by Bland's Promised Land Ranch and Eric and Monica, and we were getting this all set up. You know, this is kind of like the fatal flaw of husbands, is not to check with the wife on scheduling issues. And he made that fatal flaw. So tonight, it is only Eric. So I can appreciate that. I do that all the time. That's why when people call me to schedule anything, I don't do it ever. Except for this YouTube channel. I kind of do most of the scheduling for this, but when it comes to life or anything else, I don't do it because 9 times out of 10 it's going to get me in trouble.
I hear you. Well, you know, actually Wednesday is, the schedule has just recently changed. So when I went to go look at it, I was like, oh, this is Wednesday. This is the new busy day of the week for us. So we homeschool our kids, and, you know, with all the homeschooling and the different activities that kind of fit in between, it just kind of shifted here recently. And hey, but you got me. That's the more important part. Don't tell her I said that, and hopefully this isn't being recorded.
Well, it's being recorded, and hopefully she watches this, because I was watching your guys' live. Rick, change that around. I need my production manager. There he goes, to do his job back there. So
you were talking a whole bunch, so I was highlighting you.
I went on to your one of the lives, or maybe it was just rewatching one of the live streams. I think it was a live though, just recently. And I love kind of the interaction between you and your wife. It drives me bonkers. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching it live, and it's like, you know, there's just no interaction, and it's like, you know, I love to see kind of the real people come out, and you know, and the laughs and the making fun of each other, because that's kind of what keeps life exciting, in my opinion. If you can't laugh at yourself, what can you laugh at? So, welcome.
Well, thank you for having me. I agree 100% with the laughter thing. You know, with what we do, what I do at work, it's a lot of times it's right on the edge of, you have to be serious all the time, and meeting, like you said, meeting timelines and things like that. And I've learned along the way that you better learn how to laugh, or you're just going to cry. So that's kind of been our MO, if you will, especially with you know, working the ranch and things like that. And this is not how my wife and I grew up. So there's been a lot of moments where I have to apologize after the fact, because I've gotten angry, or cows have escaped, or the pig got out of the fence because somebody didn't move fast enough, or, you know, it's been a lot of things. But, you know, that's one thing that we try to do, my wife and I, is we try to let people see who we are. And, you know, the reality is, with our family, I mean, geez, if you can come in and just tell a story from start to finish without being interrupted with some kind of smart aleck remark, everybody's probably asleep. It's probably how that's happening. But, I mean, that's everybody. Sometimes I even tell the kids, I'm like, just shut up, let me finish, please. I'm almost done.
Well, before we do anything further, you know, I'm going to give my son the floor. So I don't know how much you've seen us. You know, this. So I'm referred to on our channel as Big Rick, or Papa. That's what his kids call me, and my grandkids call me. And then he's Little Rick, but the funny thing is he's 6'4", and I'm only 6 foot. So he's Little Rick. And then his son is Rick. So that's the littlest of the Ricks. So Christmas is a blast around here. Just say Rick 1, Rick 2, and Rick 3. So I'm gonna let my son get it out of his system on your beard.
I've already said it. I mean, it's a very, very nice. It is. It's a nice beard.
Keep going. I'm listening.
So we have to keep our beard at no more than half of an inch, and it actually just went up to no more than half of an inch. Before that, it was you couldn't have anything over a quarter, and it was just I tell you what, whenever because I take every October off, and this October on like immediately on I think I actually started 2 weeks early not shaving. And colonels and majors were like, so when are you going to shave your beard? I said, I'm going on vacation on October 1st. I'm starting early. And so I did not shave all the way up until October 31st. And I absolutely loved it, man. It wasn't nothing. It wasn't majestic like yours, but, you know. Stop it.
You're going to make me blush over here, man.
Stop it.
Oh, that's hilarious.
It's a beard thing, Dad. It's a beard thing.
It's funny because my wife absolutely hates it, like
really?
to the nth degree. And she's like, maybe if you just trimmed it up so that it was a normal beard, then maybe I would like it. But it's always in my face, and I'm like, when do I ever walk up and just like throw my chin in your face? What is that?
Is this so? Crafty Hobbit asks, Rick wants to know what products you use. So is that like the guys that wear beards actually use products? Like is that a thing?
Well, okay, so I just recently started using this like beard oil, and normally I didn't. So two things really kind of mess it up, but this is also what allows me to grow a beard like this. One is the whole mask wearing thing, because I wear like a gaiter. Nobody really knows how long it is necessarily, and they can't complain about it because they always want me to keep a mask on. So that's the first part of it. But the mask also causes a lot of tangles in here. So by putting the oil in, it lets it flow.
See, I told you when we were chatting and arranging for this, Eric.
For a little while too.
I told you that we don't have a format, Eric, and never in a million years did you think we'd be talking about your man beard oil, did you? I told you we just let it drift where it goes.
The first
Eric,
live
it's worth talking about. Your beard is worth talking about, sir.
Yeah, that's right. I'm with you. We just started doing lives probably about 6 weeks ago, and the first live we really didn't know obviously who was going to show up, and so I'm a person that likes to be prepared for things. So I had like a list of things, topics
that guy above me
to discuss, and we just have such a great following. Even though our channel is really not that large, but just a really great supporting group of people. And so there was a lot more people in there than I had anticipated. And Monica and I, we were just kind of bantering back and forth. And then I told her a story, which has now haunted me. And that is that at one point in time, I realized that I had a maggot in my beard. And so everybody started talking about having maggot merch and all this stuff. So if you go on our website, you'll see that we actually have maggot merch that was created by some of our viewers. They drew some different things up, and I don't know. We've just had fun with it. But
wow.
So now when everybody sees me, they ask me things like, what's in your beard, or have you checked it for maggots lately, or if we have a guest on that also has a big beard, they share a story when it was bigger at one time, but they had to cut it because they found like a tick or there was something in there that just kind of grossed them out. But I'm saying if you got ticks, just throw some chickens on your beard. You know what I mean? You get the manure and get it cleaned out all at the same time, and a combing when they start, cutting through it there.
Hey, we got Randall in here from Floribama Homestead. That's another one that that I met when we were over at the Gulf Coast Meetup. And I want to try to get Randall on here. So Randall, if you want to come on for one of our lives, shoot me an email. Randall's a former Navy veteran as well. So I would love to get him on here. So, all right. So tell us about, we kind of started chatting about your channel. Are we done with the beer talk? Talk?
No, we can go into him living in the other most hated state in the United States. Go ahead. Yeah, we're not in the spotlight anymore. It's all on Texas now. We've reached herd immunity. Go ahead.
So tell us about your channel, Eric.
Well, it's funny, I was kind of going through and binge watching a lot of your videos, and I noticed at the end of all the descriptions it kind of told a little bit about your farm, and I thought that was a great idea. But it sounds like we're a lot in the same boat. Monica and I, we have 8 kids, and so we relocated from the state of Maryland.
Right?
Well, I'm going to tell you the same thing I told my grandmother. When she asked me that, I told her, I said, of course I know what causes that. That's why she keeps getting pregnant. Hey, you got to have fun, right? Is this a family show? I got to be careful.
It is. I'm the main moderator, and if I don't catch it, Paula will tell you to hush.
So we have 8 kids. We had 7 before we moved to Texas. We only have 1 that was born here, but we had 7 living in the state of Maryland. And property value is very high up there. It's very expensive to live.
What part of Maryland?
Say again.
What part of Maryland? East, west?
Yeah, so I was about 12 miles southeast of Baltimore City, and
no kidding.
And that's where I worked for 15 years, downtown Baltimore. It's a very dangerous place to be.
Yeah, I did a lot of work up there. I spent probably 10 days a month up in Baltimore for the last 5 years. Starting in 2020, this first year I haven't been up there, so I know Baltimore and that area really, really well. I think I've been to most of the prisons in the entire state of Maryland, doing the work that I do. So it's a spooky place.
Well, the one right there on the east side on 83, I guess that is, if I remember correctly. Is that 83?
I don't know the roads. I just know where I'm going. Same thing.
It's the highway that from the Pennsylvania area that dumps you right into Baltimore. The prison over there looks like an old medieval type castle or something.
I know which one it is. It was on the wire.
A lot of your northern prisons have block walls. In comparison to down here, where a lot of our prisons are chain link. I mean, there are a couple I think in Louisiana that also have block walls. The majority of them down here have chain link.
You're talking about the prison. You're talking about the prison on Eager Street.
The further north you go, they're blocky and they look like old medieval castles.
Yep. Yeah, you can definitely tell the old section from the new section. The new section that looks right over the highway, which, by the way, is prime realty. But, they got like a nice high-rise view down to the city. But, that's that pretty light brown brick they got going over there.
Well, you get the award, man, for the most dramatic change from city life to homesteading. Holy mackerel, that's a shift.
Yeah. Well, in Maryland, we had some of our kids that were having health issues, if you will. We started really focusing more on what we were eating. And, the one doctor that we were meeting with, the pediatrician, said that a lot of times it's not what you're doing to the outside of your body as much as what you're putting inside of it. And so we started with the gateway animal, if you will, which is, the chicken. Mm-hmm. And so we started raising chickens at my father-in-law's house. And, we got to a point where we were like, this just isn't, we want more. We want to be able to grow. And so in 2014 is when the Lord moved us from the state of Maryland down to Texas. And so now we're east of Dallas, about an hour or so, depending on traffic. Well, traffic included about 2.5 hours, I think.
Yeah, one of our longtime subscribers, he wasn't here a little bit earlier. Michael Harris. You're about the same area as he is, and so you'll see Michael in and out of the lives a lot. I just talked to him before we come live tonight.
Well, Jake from Nunya, Texas, from the back 20. I met him. He's about 45 minutes to an hour from me, and it was funny because when I went to go meet him, there was this little lady there. And I had no idea who she was. He didn't introduce her to me, which was very rude. I hope he's listening right now.
Did she have a French accent?
What's that?
Did she have a French accent?
No. It was another little lady, and it was Tina Ladybug.
Oh, no kidding.
And then somewhere along the line, after I met Jake, I went back home, and we were just kind of texting back and forth. And then somehow it came out that his wife was little Frenchie. And I'm like, wait a minute. You couldn't have told me any of this information. I had to matlock this all the way along and just put the pieces of the puzzle together.
Hey, we've had Ann on our live. We've never had Jake. Jake, you're another one. I need to get you on here. We've had Ann, and I tell you what, it was going to be all about little Frenchie and Big Texas, but it turned out to be a whole live stream about how darn cute her daughters are, or their daughters are. They are adorable.
Yeah. On my second live, I had Jake, his wife, and his two little girls.
Yeah, they're awesome. So how did you, out of the entire United States of America, moving from Maryland to the great state of Texas, how did you pick that?
Like I said, man, I just felt like it was something that the Lord was calling us to do. It's really just hard to put into words. I just went to my wife one day and I said, I think we need to move. And she's like, okay, cool. Where do you want to move to? And, in Maryland, there's not really a whole lot of options just because of the cost of land and things like that. So when I said, well, I'm not really sure exactly where yet, but I think it's in Texas. And she just looked at me and she's like, what? and she's like, oh, I'm going to have to pray about that thing. And I was like, all right, you better be praying for real. Don't be faking that thing now. But
when we took our goats up to, or 4 of our bucks up to West Virginia University back in the spring, and going, we went, I think it's 77 that goes up through West Virginia, and it's just right through the mountains. Well, coming back, I told my wife, I said, let's do something different. So when we were coming back, we went north and then east in Maryland. Western Maryland is absolutely beautiful. It's not until you get to the other side of the state that it's horrible.
Yeah. Well, ironically enough, the state, while it's a blue in color, there's really 2 counties that carry the entire state.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, if you go to the eastern shore, that's all, at least it used to be all farmland. And then, of course, the panhandle and all that stuff, that's all just mountain land. And they say a lot of times, if you want to live in the panhandle, the only jobs you really can find are in the jails, because there's a couple rather large jails out there. But yeah, my dad is actually from West Virginia, so I've spent quite a bit of time growing up in the summers, and as I got older, around certain holidays where I could take a little more time off work. And so I miss the mountains for sure, because Texas is it's flat.
Yeah.
I was about to say there's no mountains in Texas.
Well, okay. So if there's any Texas people, I see little Frenchies in here. Well, she probably won't care.
Well, they both are, and I guess that everybody is having just recent, epiphanies that Jake and Ann are married.
Yes.
So you weren't the only one.
Yeah. So yeah, it's funny because if you talk to Texans, so when I moved down to Texas, my job, I did a bit of traveling between Arkansas, Louisiana, a little bit of Mississippi, Oklahoma, things like that. And a couple times I took one of my coworkers, and he's pretty much just lived in the state of Texas and has never gone outside of the border. And so we were starting to go into what I would refer to as some small hills. And he's like, ooh, look at these mountains. These are gigantic. And I'm like, man, have you never left the state of Texas or what?
It's like Florida. When you go down to Central Florida or you go down over to the Panhandle, there's actually hills.
Yeah, the Tallahassee area and stuff like that, you'll find out where the flatland has more of a hill, and like especially on the interstate, it's just kind of weird because people that never go into those areas, they're like, "Oh man, these are mountains." No, those aren't mountains.
Yeah, we're about 55, 60 miles in from the ocean. We're in the next county west of Jacksonville. Jacksonville's right on the coast, and people think that this is like a super high elevation. We're at like 55 feet above sea level. So apparently, we live on a hill in the Swanee River Valley, or the St. Mary's River Valley.
Well, I told the guy that I worked with, I was like, look, you're in the mountains when your ears start popping. That's what you need. Because I'm looking over here, I see Jake trying to see this is a Texan right here. He's trying to fight to argue that there's mountains in the west side of Texas, and if your ears aren't popping, they're not mountains. That's the easiest way to describe it.
I think Jake would be. It's one day I need to. If there's all these, I know there's a lot of YouTubers in Texas. A lot of our followers are over in Texas, and yeah, that might be a good camping trip. Go to East Texas, Northeast Texas, and I want to have a beer with Jake because I bet he gets wound up when he's not on camera.
Well, we just went to. It was actually kind of funny because we just went to. This is kind of going back to my comment at the very beginning of the live, but when bringing you on, so we just went to Cocoa Beach, which is probably 3.5 hours away from where we live, going down south on the coast. And I'm going down an elevator, and there's this, in Cocoa Beach, it's very touristy, so there's tons of people masked up, and there's a lot of people that are just like, don't get near me. They literally just walk in a massive circle around you. You are the plague. And so, but they're walking around you, and I get in like elevator wise even. So they get on the or you get on the elevator, and then you're like one person, and they will not go in the elevator with you. They will wait for the next elevator, and I'm fine with it because I don't like people anyway. And so, I'm upstairs on the 3rd floor, and I'm on my way down. Well, there's some lady on the 2nd floor. I've gotten so accustomed to whenever I get in the elevator, I'm going to be the only one the entire time because, like I said, I am the plague. And I get down to the 2nd floor, and this lady walks in. Like, no big deal, not masked up. And I was like, hey, how you doing? And we got to talking. She seemed really, really nice. And I asked her where she was from, and she said Texas. And I said, oh, you're the other hated state. And she just laughed her butt off. And she said, yeah, this is about the only place I'll vacation right now.
Well, yeah, I was talking to some folks the other day, and I told them, I said, right now, if I had to move, if I wasn't living in one of these 3 states, there's only 3 places I would move to right now. That's Texas, Florida, and South Dakota. I think those are the only 3 states that I would really be interested in going to.
Yeah.
Well, we live in a very conservative part of Florida. The whole I-10 corridor, with the exception of Tallahassee, and then the other side all the way to Alabama, and then everything south of us, though, other than Tampa can go either way, but it's really the whole I-10 corridor in Florida is really what is what turns this Republican, this whole state. So. All right, I don't talk about politics.
Yeah, we're supposed to be smiling and laughing and having a good time.
I'll talk about politics. I'll get too serious.
Smile.
All right, so you started off, and I get the whole gateway animal. So you started out with chickens in Maryland, and then when you moved, did you take those chickens, or did your father-in-law harvest them, or you start new down there? What happened?
Nah, we were all city folks in Maryland, so there was no harvesting anything up there. I could barely get my father-in-law to eat the eggs because they weren't in a carton from the grocery store. But yeah, when we moved down to Texas, we purchased 10 acres of land, and all of our family was kind of laughing at us because they said, "Well, what are you going to do with that?" And I was like, "I'm going to put cows on it, I guess. I don't know." And they just started laughing at us, and so that's how my wife really started getting into the Facebook piece of it. just kind of recording things and showing people what we were up to because they were interested in what we were doing. And so when we bought the property, the gentleman that we bought it from said that if you want to keep your ag exemption, you got to put cows on there. And so that's kind of where we started with that, and just put them out there to put them out there, and then we moved on to rabbits because we had extra horse stalls that I was not going to get a horse for, and then we got pigs and chickens and ducks.
Did you buy an existing farm, or did you have to build the infrastructure?
No, I mean, I guess you could say for the most part things were in place. Just the way that I think, I usually, and again, this kind of goes back to what I do for a living. I'm constantly trying to think outside the box and trying to utilize what's present if it's possible. And so, that's why we took the barn, and because it's a rather large barn, but so the barn is actually used now. It houses 2 of the stalls are filled with meat rabbits that we use for breeding purposes. I have a tack room that keeps all of our electric stuff, for rotational grazing and things like that, and controlling our pigs. And then I got a huge stall filled with firewood, and so I just try to use what's in place and kind of make it what it needs to be. And so when we first moved in, because the gentleman was older and really just ailing, him and his wife were not doing too hot, and I guess for the number of years they hadn't. So I just kind of took it and ran with it. But yeah, I mean, we just kind of learned on the fly what to do and how to do it, and that's really that's how we started our YouTube channel eventually. And we've been on YouTube for about a year now, but everything we did, we had to go to YouTube to figure out how to do it, because the industry right now, the farming industry, when you know this because you raise all of your own animals, but when you first start out, you really don't have an appreciation for the amount of work that goes into it. And then when you start doing that and realizing, you start realizing why there's not that many farmers left out there, because it's never, when you raise your money, a lot of people, they ask me with cows, they're like, well, how much money do you make off of that? And I'm like, what I tell them, I say, if you're doing it to make a ton of money, you're in the wrong industry. Absolutely. You have to do it for a love. You have to do it for, a reason outside of money.
It's interesting because, I was just having this conversation with LaLa. Now, LaLa, for the purposes of those who, may not be, that's the name of the farm. LaLa is actually my wife Kimberly's name, given to her by Rick's oldest daughter, Madeline. That is, instead of calling her grandma or Grammy or anything, she named her LaLa, and it has now stuck for 12 years, and everyone, including adults, call her LaLa. So we were just having this conversation yesterday. Hey, Mac, how are you, buddy? I lost my train. What were you talking about? I lost my train of thought. I'm trying to read.
LaLa and her name. And
we were talking about not doing it for the money.
Not doing it for the money. That there's a certain, Kimberly probably spends, or LaLa probably spends 2.5 hours a day in the barn just working the goats. And people say, well, they really take that much time? And she'll be the first one to tell you, no, I just like spending time with my goats. There is nothing that de-stresses her quicker, including myself. I probably stress her out more than spending time with her goats. I mean, she spends a lot of time with them. And, it's just kind of the same thing. I enjoy the chickens. So you're absolutely right. If you're doing it to make a bunch of money, people ask me all the time, why? My brother in particular, my family don't understand, why we do what we do. But the people that come here get it. The people that come and visit us get it, because they're kind of, they don't want to take a pill for depression or a pill for anxiety. They just deal with their animals, and
they're like-minded.
Right.
So I heard they're kind of going. You said something about a dying away or dying breed kind of deal, and 2 things on that is you have. I've told my dad multiple times where you just kind of see the generations that are coming up now, and you just think to yourself, like, Oh man, I'm gonna have to like just buckle in and kind of like saddle up for the ride because I don't know, it worries me honestly. But the like men and women that are willing to like put in the hard work um, is
And
just
not
dying
blame
off. Like
not blame
everything is
other people for their failures.
yeah, and farming, homesteading, whatever the hell you want to call it, it doesn't matter. Raising your own food or growing your own food is not easy. And like you said, you're not gonna make a ton of money doing it. We really honestly I'm not the money guy, so I say we as in the farm. But there is no way in hell that we have made money yet, and we won't for a while, just because of the infrastructure and all that kind of stuff that Papa and me and LaLa and everybody else that helped, which is just a ton of people in the big scheme of things, have like been in the process of building. But at the same time, LaLa and Papa get to eat several times a week with meat that is off of the farm, and we know exactly what it was fed. We know exactly, how it was taken, how it was cared for, and in my opinion, that's worth its weight in gold. And another thing that people don't take into consideration, if you're this massive chicken farmer, yes, you can make a bunch of money. You're gonna have to deal with all the the chicken enterprise and all of the commercial companies, Tyson and whatnot, but you can make good money. And it's the same thing with cattle. You can make a lot of money raising cattle and selling them to feedlots and all that kind of stuff. But the kind that we do, or your small farms, your small family farms, you know once those, again, going back to the generation and their beliefs and stuff, um kids aren't really willing to work for anything nowadays. And so once that farmer passes, the farm is done. And it's just the nature of the beast. The generations that are being raised up nowadays just aren't willing to work for it. And so once those farmers die off, they die off.
What we haven't talked about, Eric, is what's the benefit been to your children?
They get food on their plate every night.
I mean, not just that. I mean the experiential part.
Yeah, I mean, so the whole just the whole experience, if you will, of being more mindful of what you put in your body, and that's my wife's area of expertise. I mean, she is the person that's constantly trying to find ways to, uh, utilize the things that we're growing to make new things or to buy things that are all natural. One of the big pushes that we're making right now is supporting our local community and local, even right now, including like YouTube families that are selling stuff on Etsy or on Amazon or through their merch site, whatever it may be. Um, there's just so many people out there that and that's one of the great things about YouTube for us is it's opened up a whole new avenue of connections. Even like people like you all. I mean, this is the first time you and I have actually spoke. I don't even know who I've been emailing, by the way. Who have I been emailing?
You've been talking to me.
Okay, so yeah, I mean that's good. But it's people. Just again using Jake as an example. Always saw him up there in the chat, but because of his kindness to reach out to me, because he knew I was in Texas, asking, well, what part of Texas are you in? And just in our relationship, in our very short relationship, I found a new friend and somebody who is very knowledgeable in certain things. And when I went to his place, which by the way, I don't know about you guys, but the first time I went to a YouTuber's house, I'm like, we're texting our friends. Jake already knows this, by the way, so he's not going to get taken by surprise on this. But I told Monica, and I was like, look, make sure you text our people where we're going to be, like right before we go into his property. That way, if for some reason he takes us and puts us in one of those underground bunkers, they'll be able to find us, our last location, because I don't know what kind of person we're going to deal with here. But he was nothing like that. Obviously, he was just a normal person. Earlier you were saying you'd like to see him off camera. Well, Jake is about as laid back as you could ever imagine. And, even just walking around his property, I think we were walking at a snail's pace. So, which was fine. I mean, it was a great visit, but, coming from the city and a city life, I'm still in the mode of walking fast to go where I'm going. So, but, the thing is, again, I'd like to say something to little Rick there. I guess I can call him that, but little big Rick is the beard guy, the fellow beard man. Is and that's the push that we have when we talk about like the kids and the farmers when they die off, because I noticed in 2014 when I moved down here that there was a lot of families that were in very similar situations as us, and they were also moving away from a city life and out into the country. Now the downside was that they started out like we did, where they knew nothing. And that was one of our goals, was to find people, or to at least give an avenue for people to tap into our knowledge on all the mistakes that we made, so that they could get started quicker. Yeah. And so we've met some really great families doing that. And I mean, they're more than just another family. They're like part of our family. Yeah. And they've been a great support to us as well. And all those people who have kids, and this is where it's our opportunity to reinstill these values of raising your own family. I mean, raising your own
100%, buddy.
Yeah. And so like, even with us, so for my wife and I, not growing up like this, it's hard for us when we go to take an animal to process. Eating every part of it is difficult for us, because when you see like a cow's tongue in the crock pot, you're looking at it, you're like, what in the world? Whereas my kids now have been around it long enough to say, oh yeah, it's cow's tongue. I love cow's tongue.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree 100% with that. And you were talking about, kind of spreading knowledge, and the old saying, knowledge is power. And you're right, 100%. Knowledge is power. But one thing that I can say is I'm not property of the state, because I am not an inmate, but I am an employee of the state, and so therefore I serve the community, and I do not make a bunch of money, and nor will I really ever make a ton of money at doing what I'm doing. I think that I'm relatively good at it, and I don't know very many people that would disagree with you or disagree with me. But one thing that I can say is that it has opened up a lot of doors, and it has given me a lot of knowledge. And like I said, knowledge is power. But one thing, a lot of people, I mean, you can spend all the money in the world. You can spend all the money in the world, but knowledge is priceless.
Well, I agree. Knowledge is power, but knowledge applied is more powerful.
Oh yeah,
I've met some really smart people in college.
Yeah, that
can't tie their shoes.
But yeah, like knowledge is something that no one can ever take away from you, and knowledge is again, kind of like what I said earlier, kind of worth its weight in gold. So, and the fact that we put out videos and you put out videos, and people can kind of refer back to those videos, and it's people like you where you're teaching your kids, hey, we're going to eat every single part of this animal. None of it's going to waste, which means that you're going to eat the stuff that you don't see in Walmart. Walmart doesn't sell cow's tongue. They give that to the Audis and the Save-A-Lots, and then those are bought by I told my son whenever he came back and he was so excited about the pigs last night, I said, I just want you to realize, and Papa's 100% on board with this, because when you show an animal, you get to know the animal really well. That cow or that pig or that chicken or that rabbit will eventually end up in your freezer, and that will be cooked, and that will be dinner.
And that's when we're talking to adults, that's a hard thing for many adults who live in the city, the people that I work with on a day-to-day basis. they have a hard time grasping that concept. But it's like what I can tell people unconditionally is I know how every animal on our place is treated from the first day that we get it till the last day that it spends on Earth, and every day that animal is cared for the best that we can. We give it the best life we can. It has one bad day, and that's its last day. And think of those animals that you go and you get a hamburger at McDonald's. How that animal treated. You don't have a clue. I mean, that's a feedlot animal. It's not normal to be able to spend 50 cents on a hamburger. Those inputs cost a lot more than that. So,
well, you remember when we went to the fair? So we have, I mean, just like I'm sure Texas has, and every other county, at least small counties in the country have agricultural fairs. And so we have our agricultural fair, and we have our 2 goats out there that stayed the entire time. One we ended up having to take home a little bit early because she was in the petting zoo, and I think that someone fed them something that they weren't supposed to. So she ended up coming home early. But the 2 stayed the entire time, and because of that, we had our banner up, LaLa Farm, and there was a guy that came by, and there were several people that were asking questions, but this one guy in particular, this is an older fellow, like older than Dad, and Dad's old as dirt. But he had to have been like early 60s, mid 60s, like pushing upper 60s. And so we did not know, one, that in order to get a chick, you needed a hen that has been in contact with a rooster. Like that's grade school stuff. But he had no idea. And so then we got off of that subject and went on to goats. And he said, well, what kind of goats are these? I said, well, one is technically a meat breed, even though she's mainly for show right now. But yes, she will end up going to the freezer. I said, and the other one is a Nubian, and it's a milk breed. Oh, that's cool. How much milk do you get off of her a day? Well, she's never been bred. But we haven't gotten any milk off of her. And so I went ahead and I explained to him that we don't get milk off of her because she's never been bred. Well, hold on. You said that she was a dairy goat. You have to have a male to breed, and then that female has kids, and then they milk the kids, and then you wean, and then you can milk. But again, it's one of those topics that one of those things that just some people have no clue about.
Well, Eric, coming from Maryland to kind of learning all this stuff, kind of new, I think you call it kind of on the fly. What were your biggest challenges in kind of learning, going from that city lifestyle to the lifestyle that you have now? What were the biggest challenges, the biggest surprises? Like I was on here earlier. It was just an amazing epiphany to me that I learned yesterday, or the first day we got pigs, that pigs don't poop all over the place. They poop in one spot. That was pretty amazing to me. So what's your biggest challenges?
First of all, I do want to comment, though, on that video I saw with LaLa laying in the they typically do it all in one corner, but if they're excited and drizzle across the ground, I mean.
Well, in her defense, they'd only been in that pen for like 30 minutes when she was.
Okay.
Because I was wondering the same thing. You ain't going to see my butt down there like that.
No. I think the biggest challenge to begin with was just understanding. I don't know how I can really describe it. The solution. This is the solution. If you're going to have the animals understand the way they think. And so that was the biggest struggle that I had with the cattle, because they're so big. It's easier when you have a chicken that's misbehaving because you can pick it up, or a dog or a cat or a pig, as long as they're not too big at that time, and you can handle them. But with cows don't really want to be handled, and that was the hardest thing for me. I'll never forget, and we talk about it a lot, especially the older kids. That one of the first birthdays that we were celebrating down here in Texas, we were out in the field, and I made my son, that I think he was like 12 or 13, I made him cook dinner that night because we were trying to get a lasso off of one of our calves, but we put the lasso on the calf because we were trying to wean her from her mama.
Right.
And we just trying to control her, was just it was such a daunting task to know how to do that. And asking a cattleman, they're like, oh, well, you got to do this. And I'm like, well, I don't have fences for that. Well, then you got to do this. And I was like, well, how do you catch them? Oh, well, you just catch them. Well, that wasn't really helpful. So that was a big struggle. And then the other struggle or lesson, one of the bigger lessons I've learned is having the right stuff to control the animal. When we first started with pigs, we started with potbelly pigs, and we raised them for meat. And then we got to the point where we're like, you know what, we're going to go ahead and move up to a meat breed. And so I currently have two sows and one boar, and they're all easily 500 plus pounds. And to see the boar just take his nose and flip a cattle panel off of the 4x4s with ease, and then you just kind of look at it and you're like, bro, I just fixed that fence like 10 minutes ago and you've already messed it up. So, one of my videos, I talked about that. I said, it seems like a very realistic or a very simple idea that if you're going to have hogs, that you use hog panels.
Mhm.
Just because a cattle panel looks like it will hold them, don't bank on that. Buy a hog panel. Well, I learned that the hard way.
That's
And
why
so
that's why we spend the money we do on goat fence, goat and sheep fence. Same
Yeah.
reason. Yeah.
Yeah. But something that you had said too that I'm all about as well is the animals having one bad day. We actually did a video on one of our pigs. Something happened to him when he was first born, and I think the mom may have um, basically stepped on his head and kind of like ripped him under his eye, and then his ear was like gashed up real bad, and so it had I think they call it grease face or greasy face. It's something like that. It's some kind of infection. And he got crusts over his eyes. He basically was blind for about 2 weeks while we were trying to doctor him back. And, every day, even though he was injured, he was actually a house pig, unfortunately, but this little joker's running around the house. And we raised him, hand raised him, and now he's out there with our other keepers that we raise for ourselves. And my wife goes out there, I guess, much like your wife, and that's her decompress time. That's where she puts a stump out there and just rubs them on their belly, and they lay down. And there's so many benefits to having that. And side note on that, I actually had the opportunity. A friend of ours was in a very serious car accident. They didn't know if she was ever going to be able to walk again. And over this past summer, my wife went to Myrtle Beach and took majority of the kids. And so it was just me and one of my oldest kids. But he works. So we had that young lady that was in that massive car accident come and take care of the pigs. And it was so therapeutic for her to be able to go out there and put feed out and to just be able to touch the animals. It was just, it was a real sense of a growth for her. She needed something to decompress her and get her PTSD under control. And who would have thought that it would have been a bunch of fat pigs running around or coming up to just like laying down so you can scratch them on the belly. But
LaLa would have said that.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Well,
Go ahead.
they actually do have farms like that are built for children that have like autism and things like that, so that they can just have like that real calming sense for the children.
I'm a very big documentary fan. I am, a 33-year-old documentary fan. And so, but there was a uh, there was actually a documentary on a. It's actually what it's. I think they call it veggie farm, but it's you would think that that would be a whole bunch of vegetables, and they did a lot of grow. No, there's not a single vegetable on the entire farm. It is nothing but pigs and cows, and they have every. I think they even had a emu, and the only thing it is it's a farm animal refuge, and so they go around and they pick up horses, a lot of horses go kind of like off to the wayside, because people horses ain't cheap, and so but they go and they pick up these horses and they give them a place to stay, and they allow kids autism, anything, it doesn't matter. You could have no issue at all, and kids come out there all the time, and for that very reason it's therapeutic for them.
Rick, let me interrupt you for one moment. So here's our giveaway for tonight, another one of our mugs. Eric, you're going to have your choice of a mug or a shirt, whichever one you want. Let us know after the fact. But this is the mug, and I am the number conveyor tonight. So numbers between.
I just realized that we're at an hour and 5 minutes.
We are. I just realized that. So this has been a great discussion. So the numbers between 1 and 50. Go.
60.
All right, keep 1 and 60. All right, go. All right, keep talking, Rick.
50.
1 and 60. You're not playing. You can't play. Keep talking. I'm watching. Keep
52.
talking. You're not playing.
Why? I could always use more cups.
All right, you're talking about documentaries.
He just
like I said,
Idaho Garden Girl is the winner.
I think they were more ready for this one, but yeah, that was one of those documentaries that I would never have. I probably would never have an animal refuge because I don't have the financial backing to. Plus I like to eat, and I'm not a vegetarian. And so at the end of the day, we eat our food. So that's one thing that I really hope this year, because we got tons of animal, we got tons of protein, but hopefully this year we can really kind of batten down the hatches on the garden and get that growing. I have a question. So what was that you were drinking earlier that looked like grass juice?
Basically grass juice.
The number is 23, and Idaho Garden Girl is the winner for tonight's mug. So Idaho Garden Girl, go to the About tab on LaLa Farm's YouTube channel. The email is on there. You need to email me your address, and I will get this out to you probably early next week. So congratulations,
so, Idaho Garden Girl can now put some Bland's Promised Land Ranch grass juice in her cup. And so, what is it though?
This is so my wife's got a couple direct sale type businesses, and this is, I think it's called Q Science. And so this is just basically like greens, like a lot of power foods, if you will, on the green side of the vegetable side. So I've recently, I used to do a lot of jogging, and I think I fractured my foot. And of course, I didn't go to the doctor because I don't really trust them. If there's any doctors in here, I'm sorry to say that.
That's okay.
But,
I'm stubborn too.
So I think, self-diagnosing, well, with my wife's help, of course, I think that I fractured my foot. So I've not been able to run. So I'm not burning the calories I used to burn. And so I started putting on weight. And so, been fighting hard to just make sure that I'm eating the right things. And,
drinking. beard weight does not count. So, Tiny Tim Posey. Years ago, my mom was standing on a pallet that they were using vertical to help load our 600-pound sow. Wow. The sow just put her nose under and went across the yard with my mom and hogged backwards.
Tim, I appreciate the super chat. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you very
much appreciated.
So
yeah, the one sow that I have, she's when I first got her, I weighed her at about almost 700 pounds,
Wow.
and she was really overweight, and so I had to basically put her on a diet and got her down to where she was capable of not looking like she was near death every time she walked 10 feet.
Wow. Well, right now we're just getting them for our own food purposes. You know, we don't have breeding plans at this point in time, so we basically get them from a show breeder. So these two that we got are his culls, so they're technically not show quality, but well, technically he had two that weren't show quality. He's selling those as meat, so these are the second and third from the bottom in terms of quality. So we got these, we have registered them or got them registered, and the grandkids are going to be showing them. So it was cool, or will be cool. So we're going to go ahead, I think, and wrap this up. But before we do that, I want you to kind of shout out your live, Eric, and hopefully we can push some people from this over there for your lives each week. And the reason I say that for tomorrow in particular is that we will be on Eric and Monica's live on their channel tomorrow. Time is yet to be. I think it's probably going to be around what time Central? If we can come on early, that would be great.
Yeah, so our live is every Thursday between 8 and 10. It's a 2-hour live, and typically the first half we do catch up and kind of just general topics, and then the second hour is our visitor. We're going to shift that. We're going to kind of front load you all. Is this Big Rick that's coming, Little Rick, both of you guys?
I think we're both going to be there.
I have a crying baby in the background, so that's why I had my mic muted. Everybody just got home. No, I am going, depending on what time I have to, my work schedule, because of what I'm doing now, has now changed. And so I kind of have to almost call the day ahead to see if we have any inmate runs. And so I will be getting, sorry, I will be, I will try as hard as I can to get on tomorrow, but it honestly depends on what time I have to be to work on Friday.
Yeah, no problem. I'll send it in the email, or I already did. I sent the link. So Rick, you can send it to whomever you want on your team. But yeah, so I saw somebody asking. It is 8 to 10 Central, and we're going to front load the show with Rick tomorrow, and I got all kinds of questions to ask him.
Well, I think I might even have LaLa, because I asked her, and she might even be on there with us. So,
well, I'm kind of hoping. I have a feeling her and I are in the same boat with something, and I'll wait until tomorrow to reveal what I feel like we're on the same thought process on.
Very cool.
But,
Eric, yeah, would you rather have a shirt or a mug?
I'll go with the shirt, I think.
All right, go to Paula. If you can drop that link in there for the Teespring store, it's actually on our videos. Go to that store and then just send me an email which style you want, the size, the color, and I will get it ordered for you.
Okay, no problem, man. I appreciate that.
All right.
And also appreciate you taking time to talk to me and bringing me on your channel, and hopefully maybe we can meet up again.
I need to get over to see your beard one more time.
Say again?
Can I see your beard one more time?
Yeah, man. Look at that. I should have here, let me see if I can. Let's do this.
I like, man, I can't do that. Mine won't do it. It won't come down on a sheet of paper.
Well, my wife's probably just cringing right now. Whenever she watches this, she's gonna be cringing. Like, I hate that. And every time somebody says something or asks about it, she's like, they're just feeling this, aren't they?
Her head just drops.
Yeah, and I told her, I was like, look, now people know. One of the guys that comes to our live on a regular basis, he's like, I didn't even know his name was Eric. I just call him Beard all the time. If I shaved it, I mean, and people have tried too. We were trying to hit the 500 mark. They were like, if we hit 500, will you shave it? And I was like, no. They said, if you hit 1,000, will you shave it? I said, no. They said, what about for cancer awareness? And I was like,
oh, why'd you have to do that?
It's your trademark now.
Exactly. No, I can't.
Well, folks, I appreciate everyone stopping in. We had a lot of new people in. I want to tell shout out again to Jules. Jules, thank you so much for kind of doing a shout out, pushing folks over here. Really, really appreciate that. I didn't do a shout out for the Vineyard Chicks. I sent you guys a message. Hadn't heard back from you yet. Still trying to get the Vineyard Chicks on here. If you're not familiar with them, go check those young ladies out. They are a trio of very brilliant young ladies. Jules, I think I sent you an email today. Anyone else that's on here, if you'd like to come on here for a live for our Wednesday night, shoot me an email and we'll see if we can get it arranged. Ideally, you haven't been on here before, but some of you, I love you so much that I'll bring you on even again, such as MB Heritage. And Paula, but I don't think Paula will take me up on it. So,
I got somebody that's gonna she's gonna go ahead and end the live for us.
So Eric, this is my granddaughter Madeline. That's Rick's oldest, and she's the one that actually named LaLa.
There you go. Good job.
All right.
In the background, one of my sons is getting spanked. All right, so Madeline, we're at an hour and 15 minutes. Eric, thank you very much. Again, like Papa just got done saying, if you guys haven't checked out Plans Promised Land Ranch, please go over there. Right after the live, I'll go ahead and I'm going to put a link to their channel. Go ahead and show them some love. Go over there and subscribe to them. Ring their little notification bell. That way, whenever they put out a video, you don't miss it. And as Papa always says,
treat others as you would like to be treated.
Good night, guys.
All right, folks. Good night.
Papa, I'm too far away from the button. End it.
Eric, this was a blast. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
Good night, all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.